Hey, how you doing? Ladies and gentlemen, it's clobbering time. So it's Friday night, 8:30. We're a little late because Marcus is drawing a story for me, and we were just using this opportunity to compare notes and share thumbnail, not thumbnails, layouts. So there you go.
No, you could call them thumbnails. I just don't draw them that small.
Yeah. Well, you got big thumbs.
That's true, actually.
Big thumbs. So that's
why I don't fight with people on Twitter. My thumbs aren't that big.
Yeah.
My thumbs are painted.
Tonight we are talking about gods. And as Zachtan says, we're definitely going to need a blessing for this stream. So thank you for providing the blessing. And speaking of a blessing, we got Tony Grigo over here. Now,
maybe Tony knows about them.
Yeah. Tony, you're the one you know about the gods of Warhammer, right?
I'm more of a Lovecraft guy.
Oh, we're screwed. Nobody knows about Warhammer.
So we get two. Well, I have it pulled up, so I'll read some of it. We'll go through it then. We just won't. I won't act like an expert. Well, when do we not act like experts, though? Really?
Well, I know a bit about them, and I mean I'm a Lovecraft freak, so you know it already. We know which side I'm going for right now. But we'll filibuster a bit.
So the person who brought it up should be in this. Who came up with this? The Guapo. He should come talk about it.
Yeah, it was El Guapo. You got to come in here, El Guapo. So we'll give a little bit of channel news first off. I was working at the airport for a while. That job finished. Then I went to the hospital. That job finished. I'm working in a school now, and the teachers are coming to work. So I will be working nights for the foreseeable future. So I don't know the future of things like this. So I'm going to be working 3 to 10.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? It's more money, so that's nice.
Right.
I'm hoping the commute is a little easier to deal with, especially coming home. But so I don't know. So like when I get home, I could stream at night. So I gotta notify the people that I have chat scheduled with and go on a week-to-week basis. This could be 1 week, this could be a year. Who knows?
How long has it been since you worked that shift?
I've never worked this shift.
3 to 10. Yeah.
The last time I worked nights, it was like 10 o'clock at night to 4 or 5 in the morning.
Really, that's I worked.
And that didn't really bother me because that was just trading work for sleep. You know what I mean? Like I went to sleep at this time and I went to work at this time. So that shift I just swapped. This shift is really going to mess me up because I know me. I'm going to come home and stay up all night. I'm going to sleep till 2 and wake up and go to work. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna be on the plus side. A lot of people miss me doing the board game videos. I'll probably be doing stuff like that late at night. My hand solo playing board games. I'm thinking I'll go back to recording individual comic videos and putting them, which would probably be good because that's how my channel grew. Once I stopped doing that, my channel kind of stopped growing.
That's everybody's channel stops when they stop doing those streams.
So maybe I'll go back to 10-minute videos, and if that's the case, I will put out requests. You guys request comics, and I'll gladly do them provided I have them. So that's the channel news. Tony, do you got anything you want to announce, say, promote?
No, sir. But just buy Heroic Tales.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Oh, we'll drop that in a second.
Heroic Tales is still live on Kickstarter. Here is the link. It's on Kickstarter, and it's only on Kickstarter for 3 more days. And I'm not going to extend it. When it's done on Kickstarter, it's done. That was just like a little extra because I did pretty good on Kickstarter. And Kickstarter really hasn't been bad to me. Indiegogo, I didn't like. I'll give Indiegogo.
Yeah, everybody complains about Indiegogo.
Yeah, I'll give Indiegogo another try when the new owners. I don't know. Are the new owners in charge now?
I don't know.
But I'm not going to launch now. I'll wait for my next campaign, which will be Patriarch #1. And if you watched just before, I talked about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I felt like I owed them an apology, so I put an homage to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in. Oh, look at that doggy! Look at that doggy! You got. Let's see the doggy's face. Let's see the doggy's face. So I put a little homage to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in Patriarch #1 as a way to say I'm sorry, guys.
Well, I'm sure you hurt their feelings.
Yeah, I know they missed me.
And they made plenty of money without you or me.
The first movie is epic. I love that movie. The first.
Yeah, he was just talking about the movie.
Now, good dog. As far as Warhammer goes, I will give my personal experience with Warhammer. When I lived in Albuquerque, I went to University of New Mexico. I had two roommates, Kevin and Jason, and these guys played Warhammer. Oh my God, did they play Warhammer? And they had a bunch of other guys that would come to the house, and they would have epic battles. They had armies. We rented this guy's grandmother's house, so it was a huge house on the Rio Grande River. It had 3 huge bedrooms. It was just a huge, sprawling house. One thing Albuquerque has is space to build cheaply. So the house that we 3 college idiots were drinking beer in, was the kind of house that a family with 10 kids would live in. You know what I mean? It was so much space. It was awesome. The dining room had a full, like the house came furnished with all the old ladies' furniture, so it had a huge dining room table and china cabinets, 3 china cabinets. Well, we didn't sit at the dining room table. The dining room table was the Warhammer table. They put this green cloth over it, and pulled it tight, and that was the Warhammer table. And each person had a china closet filled with minis, and in between they had like 4 or 5 oak tag sheets all pasted together, and it was like graph paper. And I don't know what system they'd used or how they decided to do it, but I did know that whoever won the battle got to draw so many hexes, and they were mapping out their planet, their universe. I don't, and these guys, they did fantasy, and then they did 40K. Fantasy is elves, dwarves, orcs, with battle axes, everything like that, like Dungeons and Dragons, but it's a tactical miniatures game. If anybody's unfamiliar with the tactical miniatures game, what it is you have miniatures, you put them on the table, and what they do is they literally, I have a ruler here, they would take out rulers. This miniature can move 2 inches, and on their turn, they would put the ruler down on the board, move the miniature, remove the ruler, and then you would go and you know what I mean? And that's how you simulate movement. And then everybody would move, and then everybody would attack, and then everybody would retaliate. It sounds more complicated than it is, but why I never played was the miniatures are expensive. Games Workshop is expensive. It's worth it. They're really good miniatures. You have to cut them off sprues, glue them together. I ain't doing any of that. And then you got to paint them. Now, they would let me play. It's my house. But if you play with any serious Warhammer guy, you have to have at least 3 different color paints on each miniature. I mean, Kevin and Jason, they didn't go to college. They worked. So they would go to their jobs. They would come home, do bong hits, and paint Warhammer miniatures. If they weren't painting Warhammer miniatures, they were playing Warhammer. And if they weren't playing Warhammer, we were playing Villains and Vigilantes. Their characters may or may not show up in Heroic Tales at some point. Because they were actually set in the future. So that's my history of Warhammer. I would not play because I know I would be like selling pencils in the street, because I would have been broke. You know what I mean? And they even said that, I got an extra army. I'm like, no, you guys are the devil tempting me with this. I do play tactical miniature war games, but I buy them that are like you buy the whole package. Most I like Star Wars X-Wing. The models are pre-painted. It's real simple and easy, and everybody likes. I joke about Star Wars, but I still like the original trilogy Star Wars. I play a World War I biplanes. So like that. Believe it or not, that's the most complicated because you got to do altitude and wind directions and everything. I play a couple of space games. There's a lot of space games. Those are pretty easy because you don't have to deal with wind and altitude. It's just space. And one of them that I really, really enjoy is Sails of Glory. It's a Napoleonic. So I got these beautifully painted Napoleonic ships, and you just have you got to do a broadside up it. You got to take like the momentum. Like when you try to stop and slow down, you still have to move. Because it's the ocean, you're on the ocean, you don't have brakes, and that could mess up because you don't know where your opponent. And next thing you know, your broadside isn't quite a broadside. Oh, it's so much fun. I really enjoy them, but I'm not painting my miniatures. I'm not cutting them off the sprues. And, so I appreciate the pre-painted packaged minis. That's my history of wargaming.
Well, I have a slight history of Warhammer. My son, one of his best friends, now this is when he's really young. We're like 9 or 10 or something. Oh, I want Warhammer. This kid, Justin, whatever his name is, he is Warhammer. And so we got him some Warhammer, and nothing ever came of it. And it was super expensive. And we brought him to a Warhammer, like a store that played Warhammer, and he was just too young for it. And that, I think I still have some in the back, in the closet, as a matter of fact. But I do draw a game that's Mythic Americas is all based on indigenous peoples minis, and I have no idea.
I didn't realize that. I thought it was a role-playing game. So it's a tactical miniature.
Minis. Yeah, you can order all these minis. A lot of the stuff that I draw.
Put the link in the chat and then send it to me on Twitter too. I'll check it out. I didn't realize it.
They're not on Twitter anymore. Twitter did nothing for them.
But they have a website. You could send me.
Yeah, they have mythicamericas.com, and they have 2.0. That's where like my stories are, and it's terribly lettered. So, but I don't apologize because I have nothing to do with the lettering. And a lot of those references are based on the minis that my writer paints. He paints these minis and then like, oh, do this. And I got to look at like a dog sled and Eskimo and Inuits. They're not Eskimos anymore, that type of thing. They're not terribly super woke because they let me draw it. And he's a Jewish guy and he writes it. So, So then cool. That's nothing. They're in Jersey.
I'm checking out Mythic America. Cool. I don't know why I got excited that it was a miniatures game.
But it's miniatures, yeah.
Like,
there's pictures of men playing it and everything. And they go to Gen Con.
I don't get into other role-playing games because I'm committed to Villains Vigilantes, so I don't want to learn about other systems.
I don't know much about it. I just draw it, But not that I just draw it. I don't want to do it. The drawings are about the myths. It's kind of like what we're doing here. We're going to talk about the gods and what they mean. It's the same thing with this. What do they mean? I do Mayans and which, I know Oscar might get mad at me, and Aztecs and people being thrown off of, buildings and kids getting killed. I mean, because that's what they did back then. So,
Yeah, I don't know much. I know a bit about the Aztecs. I don't know much about the Mayan.
Yeah, we're nice people.
Yeah, I don't know. So I told Oscar that I was interested in making like a Mayan superhero and a Mayan supervillain, and he was just like, no.
Hey, John, have you ever seen the Q, the horror film from the 80s directed by Larry Cohen?
No.
Yeah, it's about a giant monster that terrorizes Manhattan, and it's Quetzalcoatl, the god Quetzalcoatl. Yeah.
Oh yeah, what's it called?
Yeah,
Q. Yeah, I saw that in the movie theater. I thought you said The Cube.
Oh, Q. Yeah.
Q. Quetzalcoatl comes and yeah, I saw that in the movie theater. I saw that and the Exterminator the same week. Yeah, vigilante movie. Yeah, Q. I remember that. That was fun. Yeah, it would fly with, by the sun, so you couldn't see it coming.
Yeah.
I got to see that again.
Really neat looking stop motion creature. Really cool looking.
Yeah. Wow. I wouldn't have thought of that again in a long time. So, anybody want to say anything about the gods of Warhammer, or talk about?
So, from my understanding, looking at this, they had several gods. They had Old Pantheon, human gods, an Old Pantheon, a Nehukaran Pantheon, Southlands, New World, and Far East. They had dwarf and ancestor gods, and elven, old ones, ogre kingdoms, greenskin gods, chaos gods. And then they had unknown gods, demigods, other entities. So it's a whole list of, there's a whole list of, there's a ton of human gods worshipped by different cultures. So there's a lot here.
So Logic Finest just grounded me. I realized I forgot to say a lot of stuff. So thank you. As I eat a pretzel because I'm starving because I didn't eat dinner yet. But Logic Finest says, evening all, what exactly is Warhammer? Is it a game, comics, figures? I'm totally clueless. Never even heard the name Warhammer until Henry Cavill said he's a huge fan. Okay, thank you. This will, I could talk about this. So Warhammer is a game. but it's a bunch of games. There's a role-playing game and there's a tactical miniatures game. Tactical miniatures game is when you physically have miniatures on a board and you follow tactical rules. You measure out hexes or squares, and it seems tedious, but oh my God, it's so much fun. It's very intimidating. I play a Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones is called the game. The book is called what? Fire and Ice. Well, whatever the books are called, it's opposite Ice and Fire, and it's like a beginner tactical miniatures game, with like one index card full of rules. I should play it with friends, but anyway, it's a miniatures game, and each miniature usually has a card that'll tell you the rules of that figure. So you got a miniature and you got a card over here, and you there's a lot of math. Like, okay, this could throw a spear 6 inches. You literally put a ruler on the board, and if from a dot in the center of the square or the hex that you're on, if you could touch anywhere in the hex that other miniature is on within 6 inches, you could throw the spear at him, and then you roll the dice. This spear does 1 die 10 damage. Well, I have defenses that deflect 1 die 8 damage. I roll 1 die 10. I rolled a 7. You rolled a 5. Boom! I do 2 points of damage to you. Or this figure has armor on that negates 4 points of damage. So I roll the dice. I rolled an 8. Your armor negates 4 points of damage. I did 4 damage. This figure could take 12 damage before it's destroyed. It sounds like it's complicated, but it's not really that complicated. So if you ever played Magic: The Gathering, you could definitely handle Warhammer. Now, there's also a role-playing game. It's like Dungeons and Dragons. As far as I know, there are 2 major settings for Warhammer. There's fantasy, which is no different than Dungeons and Dragons. You get elves, elven priests, elven wizards, elven rangers, human elves, human priests, human fighters, human barbarians. Hey, Yang, you want to come in, Yang? This is an open invite. Yang probably knows more about Warhammer than all of us. Anybody wants to pop in, it's an open invite. So there's a role-playing fantasy game, and then there's a role-playing sci-fi game. It's set in the year 40,000 years in the future, 40K. That's what the 40K stands for. It's 40,000 years in the future. Now, the conceit of that game is these rifts opened up, and these horrible gods came from beyond whatever, and they're evil. They're all evil. The conceit of Warhammer is everything's evil. The whole universe is evil. So the Imperium of Man is evil. The Orc Empire is evil. The Elf Empire, everything is evil, and you just I forget if it's either just survival or conquest. But these huge mechs and these huge ships, we don't know how to build them anymore. So society is breaking down. So you don't want to use your big resources. Like in a game, you want to do it because you want to win. But the lore is the Empire doesn't want to use all this stuff because they're getting harder and harder to repair, harder to fix. We're spreading out so far that like even the Imperium of Man is forming different factions, and and we just want there's orc space raiders, there's elven space raiders. So it's all of. So yeah, get Eric. I put the link in the chat. Here it is. It's start again. If you want to come in, Eric, I'm sure could explain this better than any of us. And it's Jason collected Warhammer Monthly. It was a comic book from Games Workshop. So it was a British comic book, and it had surprisingly good art and surprisingly good stories. And it went from the 40K universe to the fantasy universe. And I think 125 issues came out. And he had about 50 or 60 of them, missing a few. And he was just like, yeah, comic books, I'm done. Here, because he knows I like comics. So I read all of these comics, learned a lot of cool lore and stories, but I never, ever – I played the fantasy role-playing game. I never played the 40K role-playing game. So that's everything I know about Warhammer. Logic's Finest, I hope that explained what it is. Now, Henry Cavill is the best thing that ever happened to Warhammer. He got it introduced into like the zeitgeist. He, as far as I know, he's behind the scenes now working on a Warhammer movie or a project or something. Is that still a go? I don't know, but he loves it, and he made me realize that as much as I love Marvel Comics, my favorite thing about Marvel Comics is the continuity. My favorite thing about Tolkien is the continuity. I'm a big fan of continuity. The little details. That's what makes you an obsessive fan over a casual. And there's nothing wrong with being a casual. A tourist, that's a different thing. Tourist is, I just like it now because it's cool. But if you're a casual, that's fine too. I like Spider-Man. I got a Spider-Man shirt. I got a couple of comics. There's nothing wrong with that. But like, I like all the intricacies, like following the lines of the sons of Adam, in Tolkien, and I could trace back Aragorn's lineage and the kings of Numenor and stuff. I love all that stuff, and Henry Cavill loves all that stuff too in Warhammer. And he wants, like when he did The Witcher, he loves all the little lore and everything like that. And when the show was disregarding the lore, he got more and more frustrated until he left. Now I think they're going to promise him Warhammer and let him be in control of it. It might not be happening anymore, but it might. I don't know. So if anybody knows, let me know. But there you go. So Henry Cavill, the famous meme is somebody asked him, what do you think is better, the Federation or the Empire? Because they knew he was nerdy. And he looked at him and says, the Imperium of Man. And nobody knew what he was talking about. And everybody started looking up. And that's what the Empire of Man, the God Emperor of Warhammer, the Grand Controller or ultimate being, the semi-divine Emperor of all humanity. And supposedly, my friends were telling me, he's so old that he will die unless he's like a psychic vampire. He needs like something like 20,000. They need to sacrifice 20,000 psychic humans a day to provide the energy to keep him alive. So it's a dark, sinister, scary universe. And I hate to say it, but there's like tourists coming in like, oh, we got to make it nice and make it friendly. That ain't Warhammer. If you're easily offended, if you're easily triggered, like the big controversy is, why aren't there any female Space Marines? Because the Space Marines, they're not even human. They're cybernetically enhanced, like, from birth. They're almost like 9 foot tall monstrosities, and they're just pure bulk. They're forced testosterone and every drug to make. Why would they do that to a female?
There's a lot of Robert E. Heinlein in there, right? Space Marines against giant bugs. Yeah.
Right. But
yeah. So, and now like, oh, there should be female Space Marines. Well, I forget what they're called. The Sisters of Battle or something like that. Or the space.
The Battle Sisters. Yeah.
Battle Sisters. But like, there needs to be female space, but there aren't. That's the lore. And there aren't. And
I think there are now. They made them.
I was going to say GM finally caved to the wall. And here's the funny thing: those people moved on. Games Workshop, their sales didn't go up when they caved. Those people got what they wanted and moved on. Never been the need to the woke people.
One of my friends was so pissed off about that, he started printing out his own stuff. He no longer buys from Games Workshop, and he plays the older modules. Right. He doesn't play anything new. So, I mean, they lost a lot of people for that stupidity, quite a bit.
Right.
That's right. I heard that too.
Games Workshop, they raised the prices and then pissed off the fan. Not a good combination. And now with the onset of a 3D printers, a lot of people are just designing and 3D printing their own models. There's hundreds of websites where you could get, already designed sculpted miniatures. And a lot of people have all these miniatures. They don't need new stuff, and they just play. Like I was talking earlier about a Star Wars X-Wing. They did a Star Wars X-Wing second edition, And I don't know why I don't have any second edition, because I had so much first edition stuff, and I'm happy with it. And it's not like I play it every day, you know. So I didn't feel there was a problem with first edition. So I never bought it. But some reason it pissed off everybody, to the point when I moved out here, I met a couple of people, and they were just like, "Oh, do you want all my X-Wing stuff?" So I'm not joking, I got crates of Star Wars X-Wing stuff. Like, I must have like 10 grand worth of Star Wars X-Wings, and I didn't buy it. People just gave it to me because they got pissed off at the game. So come on down, let's play Star Wars X-Wing. I mean, it's really cool. I got TIE fighters, X-Wings, you know. They actually made an Imperial Star Destroyer mini, and it's bigger than my table. I would love to get it, but you need like a warehouse, you know, like unless you can collapse it. But there you go. Do I pronounce his name wrong? How do you pronounce it? How do you pronounce his name? Am I pronouncing it wrong? I don't know. Henry Cavill. That's how I always thought it was.
I thought it was Henry Cavill, but I've heard
maybe it's Cavill. Maybe
I've heard other people pronounce it like you, so I don't think twice about it. You're not
I don't know. How do you pronounce it? I don't want to pronounce anybody's name wrong. I don't care about a fictional person like Charles Xavier, but Henry's a real person. As I choke on a pretzel, and he's one of the few actors that I actually like, so I don't want to pronounce his name wrong. If you think about it, the Federation was communist. Tim, we are no longer friends. I banish you to the netherworld. The Federation is neither capitalist nor Federation. I've had this argument with so many people. The Federation has replicators. They produce whatever they need. So communism and capitalism are economic systems for the management of scarcity. The Federation is in a post-scarcity economy, meaning they have whatever they need. They literally could afford to have people just sitting around writing poetry on the beach, because they have these machines that have magic power sources that gives them food, shelter, whatever. They go to I imagine, and I can't prove this, that the average person in you know, Star Trek world, the average human, they live a life of easy leisure. They got all the medicine, they got all the food, they got all the housing that they need, because they could just generate it through magic science. It's the odd person who joins Starfleet and does things like that. If you notice, they never talk about salaries. You know, it's you know, Captain Kirk a few times said to Scotty, "You earn your pay," but I think that was a joke. So the Federation was not communist, because it's not a management of scarcity program. It's a post-scarcity system. It's something that literally needs magic science to create. So
hey, John, did you ever hear that thing they said where when you get transported in Star Trek, you die, and then that was weird. Yeah.
I'm not nuts about thinking about that. That like you actually die and come back, and you're not like you're cloned. You're not really you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was kind of weird.
Here's the funny thing, and here's a spoiler for an issue 200 of Heroic Tales, because I'll never get to it. But I subscribe to that point of view. You can't have your molecules broken down and reassembled. Your soul is killed. Your body is recreated with but in Heroic Tales, every intelligent being has the potential for a soul. And if you don't have a soul, not only is what makes you like unique consciousness combined with your mind, but it also provides you like a psychic defense against like spirits and demonic entities and stuff like that. So the stronger you develop your soul, get experience points and rise up in levels, the better your defense. Well, there was a starfaring race in my lore that were good guys, and they traveled the universe helping people, and then they developed teleportation technology, and they beamed across time and space. Well, their bodies died. They didn't see any difference, because this soul is this, like, to the average person, and to them, they didn't feel any different, whatever. But they had no psychic defense. The whole race ended up getting taken over by evil demons, and they became the scourge to other. This is like 100,000 years in the past of the heroic tale. Other space empires had to form to defeat them. and they were utterly annihilated. And now there's old tech throughout the galaxy from this super alien race that was benevolent, but because of technology, transportation technology, was taken over by demons. And now there's like all the spacefaring races do not use teleportation. They do not use beaming. They don't disintegrate your molecule because they know the cost. But they do teleport. They warp. They bend space so that your body is never disintegrated. So there you go.
You mean they move like Dune? They fold space. They travel without moving. Right.
Correct.
Okay.
With that technology, you don't destroy your soul. But the thing is, as advanced as that race was, they weren't spiritual. They were pure logic and science. So they never even thought about the soul. You know what I mean? Where other races who were more philosophical and spiritual races, they were all about the soul, and they wouldn't use.
Hey John, do replicants have souls?
Anything that thinks in my world, my comic book could have a soul. And it's funny that you said that, because I'm writing a story right now. I don't want to reveal the name of the story that Brian Bow is probably going to draw. And it's a Frankenstein monster, cute because it's Brian Bow. So she's a sexy Frankenstein monster kind of girl. And she's been told she's like 100 years old, and she's been told that she doesn't have a soul. But she's the kindest, gentlest, sweetest being. She goes around doing good deeds. And then finally, somebody else, I don't want to spoil the story, but basically says, like, how can anybody think you don't have this? Like, I can't prove it, but you know, and the name of this story is going to be called.
Why isn't Eric?
You brought that up just today when I was going back and forth with Brian of where I want to go. Like,
So all the replicants in Blade Runner, they have souls.
I would say so. If they're self-aware and now in real life, I'm not a theologian. I'm only talking about in
You didn't know it.
I love. So does the same go for clones?
Yes. Because it's even a dog that becomes like if you're just a rat struggling to survive, yeah, you have a soul, but it's so minor. But like the more you become aware and have like agency and make decisions, you develop your soul. Like I got that idea, believe it or not, from a Monty Python movie, The Meaning of Life.
Oh, yeah.
There was a short at the beginning with the pirates attacking in the building, and he says, we've come to the conclusion two things. First, men are not wearing enough hats. And two, the human soul hasn't been monetized yet. And he goes off to the speech like, some people believe that everybody's born with a soul. Some people believe you're born without a soul and you develop the soul as you. And I was like, what if we aren't born with souls? And like basically breastfeeding from your mother she's providing a psychic defense against demons. And that's one of the reasons why liberals are all crazy, because they're all like on formula and they're possessed by demons. So like the breakdown of this family is literally demons keeping children isolated so that they don't develop souls.
The Crimson Permanent Assurance.
Right. Crimson Permanent Assurance. So that's always been a part of my role-playing game.
So it's like Thomas Aquinas. You're born, you develop your soul as you get older.
Right.
Like that.
Right.
Okay.
Like this, I introduced a character. I did art for the metaphysician. And that's the metaphysician. He is a doctor. He's Doctor Strange. He's my Doctor Strange. But he understands, like most doctors just treat your body. Some doctors treat your mind. He also treats your soul. So he treats your body, mind, and soul. So he's the metaphysician. And
the chat has some interesting.
Yeah, I know. I've been ignoring the chat.
They're dating the soul instead of the gods of Warhammer because we don't know anything about it. Eric knows everything about it. Does not want to come in here and school us.
Well, I'm going to say this: if I'm remembering my Lovecraft, there's an entity in it that's so powerful it would probably kick the crap out of all of the elder gods of Warhammer.
Well,
and that's Azathoth.
From what I understand, the Warhammer gods are much more. They're pretty aggressive.
Oh no, the Asathoth,
Yeah.
the blind idiot god. If he wakes up, all of existence snaps away. So I mean, you're talking about a god that's so powerful that we're all of his dreams. So he has to constantly be asleep, and he's the only thing that strikes terror in the hearts of the other elder gods like Cthulhu, Nyarlathotep, Tsathoggua, Shub-Niggurath. So I would say that I don't know if there's anything that powerful in Warhammer lore, but I mean, maybe there is. I don't know.
Like
I used to just paint the miniatures when I was a kid. I didn't actually play the game.
You drop the link, Eric will come in again, if you don't mind, John. And then he seemed to have a lot. I was looking at the chat.
Yeah, everybody's welcome to come in.
It's complex, so.
Hey, John, I got another question for you about that.
Sure.
Does the soul be, in your opinion, does your soul belong to you or does it belong to God?
You don't want me to get into super philosophy?
No, I mean, I'm saying because it always, the whole concept of selling your soul to the devil always made me kind of like, how can you sell something that's not yours to begin with? Well, that's like me selling the Brooklyn Bridge, That'd be like me selling the Big Ben in England, not mine, but I can drop papers and say that it is.
Your soul is yours. You develop it, and then when you die, I don't want to start favoring one religion over another, but when you die, then your soul unites with the divine. But while you were alive, and that's what like the devil could do. He could steal your soul. There's beings that are like Hermes is what do they call it? There's a word for that. A pontus. They basically soul guides. This is giving away a lot of world. But in my world, there's a being called Orcus, and Orcus is the Roman god of the dead. And what he does is he's this spiritual demon thing, and he will intercept souls, corrupt them, and send them back to Earth as vampires. And then vampires, they live with this doom, knowing that when they die for real, there's no escaping Orcus. It's basically like vampires don't want to die because they know it's just uniting with this being that corrupts souls. I'm getting to it. I'm actually thinking of doing a.
That sort of reminds me of Sith lore from Star Wars. The Sith don't want to die because when they die, they'll go to the dark side of the Force, which is black oblivion.
Oh.
Nothing. Yeah, and if you're like the good Jedi,
is that why there's no Sith Force ghosts?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Okay. The Logic Finest has a good question. If the soul isn't physical, a transporter shouldn't affect it. Yes, but the body is destroyed. When you die, your soul is released from your body and goes. So when literally the transporter destroys your body, it destroys your mind, destroys it, and then replicates a copy over here. It's like a copying machine. Just imagine if you put a piece of paper in a copying machine and it burnt up the copy, and then 10 miles away, it made another copy. Well, the soul belonged to the original, and it was destroyed. It goes to the great beyond. Now we have a replication, freshly printed 3D John's long box, but without the psychic defenses, without the soul, without the quintessence, whatever you want to call it.
So you believe that Captain Kirk has no soul?
Captain Kirk kept developing it, yeah. But what happened? This is my rules. With the Federation,
all right.
The Federation, you know what I mean?
All right.
But that's why Bones wouldn't teleport. Bones didn't want to do it. Right. And teleportation in Warhammer is awesome. You have to create a wormhole that goes to hell, and you have to survive it before popping out the other side. If the religious thinking is a soul isn't physical and eternal, then your physical molecules shouldn't have any effect on your soul. Right. But then your soul is trapped to your dead body. When your body dies, your soul is released. So if somebody stabs me, my soul just sits there, and then my body decays. My soul just hangs out. You know what I mean? Your soul is released when your body is destroyed, when your body is killed. And when
luminous beings are we, not this crude matter.
can we agree, Logic, that if I was to take a disintegrator gun and disintegrate you, your soul would be released and free to go to the great beyond, the great of the war, or whatever your belief system is? That's what a teleporter does. It disintegrates your body, and then a computer resynthesizes a new body over here. It's not the same body. How does the soul bridge the gap? There's nothing physical to be transported. There's no a teleporter disintegrates molecules and reassembles molecules. It doesn't have the capacity for this ineffable spiritual soul. And again, Logic, if you disagree with me, that's fine. This is my rules in my game.
What you said earlier reminded me of my dad. He used to hate Star Trek. He used to call it a bunch of commies. They're commies. Commies in space.
So, John, you're saying that each clone has a soul, so humans can create life and create souls? Yeah, they do it every day, called having sex.
Well, if we had sex every day, that would be kind of fun.
Yeah, well, depends.
I don't
Depends
think
on who you get assigned in the communist world. You're having sex with Lizzo. Tony, you're having sex with Cindy Sweeney. Is it still fun, Marcus?
Hey, if you close your eyes, maybe, there'd be comedians that say it's all the same, right? I don't believe that, but I thought I would say that.
Zach has my back. And again, Logic, don't get mad. I enjoy these philosophical. I enjoy these philosophical repartees. Is that the right word? Hey, we got Eric the Handsome over here. Handsome Eric. I get to thinking, but if technology dissembles and resembles the physical world, why would it affect the soul? Because why would it? If I burn your body to death and then take a computer and make, if out of a replicator, make your body over there, where's your soul? That's all a transporter does. It literally destroys this body and rebuilds another body over here. You know what I mean? Unless, and I will say that there is a race so far advanced that they literally can take the soul out and retransplant the soul into another body. So they could, but unless you have technology, these are my rules. I'm a crazy person. I don't expect anybody to agree or disagree. Oh, I mean, you can disagree all you want, but unless you physically address the fact that we are taking the inevitable, then because you're rebuilding a mind, and memories are stored in chemical sequences in your brain and brain patterns. But I would even say Captain Kirk should be losing memories. That's just every time he transports, he should be losing memories because.
Hey, John, could the clone of Adolf Hitler stand trial for the crimes of the original?
No, it's not. That's not Adolf Hitler.
Okay.
It's a unique individual. That's one thing that bothers me about clones. Is
what if it had the same memories?
I forgot you were here. You scared the crap out of me.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. What were you saying?
Yeah. What if he had the same memories as Adolf? Can he stand trial then?
That's for theologians to decide. My gut reaction is no. It's not the same being. It's
okay.
but I could see the want and the emotional. You'd want to, but you know what I mean. Like I don't know, but to me that's magic. Like if I take your cell from whatever, and it shouldn't have your memories. You know what I mean? Like you're rebuilding from the DNA. Like your memories aren't stored in your DNA. You know what I mean? Like even if I take a brain cell, I'm not taking all your memory. Like that always bothered me in comic books. Cloning was just endless. And let's get away with the consequences of killing somebody. Just clone them. And now I got Reed Richards again, or whatever. Marcus Kellergrew again. Just same exact age. Like the way I think of it is like I take cells from Tony Grigo, and I'm making a clone of him. Now I got a baby Tony that I got to raise. It has no memory. It's genetically his copy, but it's not him. It's gonna have different memories. It's gonna have different experiences. It's if you believe in the soul in heroic tales way, it's gonna develop its soul in different paths. It's a totally different, unique being, but it shares the same DNA as Tony, but it's not Tony.
So in order to make it make it like me. You have to replicate as much of my past as possible. Like if my parents divorced when I was 12, that would have to be arranged. Like if I went to the military.
Never going to be you because you're whatever age you are now. Now the clone is literally just born.
Okay.
It's going to have.
Or use a 3D printer.
I mean, unless it's magic. Magic can do anything. Two Marcus Kellegrews, and now we literally recreated Hitler. Now we can, but magic trumps all of that. That's the biggest problem with magic is you can just break the rules. We got David. Dave, I invited you guys to come in and talk about this. These are my Warhammer experts. This is my buddy. He plays role-playing games with me, and he plays Warhammer. I think they run tournaments over at Brothers Grimm around the block from my house. So you're leaving me hanging. I thought you and Roy and Scott were going to come in and teach us about Warhammer gods. But anyway, what is it? Modern science.
Yeah, hop in.
Modern science doesn't recognize the soul as a measurable entity. Instead, it explores consciousness, mind, identity in terms of brain. Exactly. And as far as I know, in Star Trek, they never addressed the soul as like being something that is measurable. Like Captain Kirk always talked about the beauty and the soul's more. He talks about it the same way we do. So maybe I'm wrong.
But they don't believe in the afterlife in Star Trek, do they?
I don't know. I
don't think it ever was addressed, man. No,
I don't think so either. At least not the original.
They avoided all religion except for like Klingon religion.
Because what's his face? The great bird of the universe, Gene Roddenberry, was a.
Come on in, Lord. Come in, Zark. Come in. We need more. But I don't have it's okay. I know who you are. My rule is if I don't know who you are, I want to see your face because I've been burnt before. Somebody has an avatar, and also the avatar comes off porn or something.
I have to say, of all your rules, John, that's the one I agree with you most. Seeing people, I'm not that the people on here are not. We know who they are.
Right. If I know who you are,
I agree with that.
Different. So come on in. Come on in. Can I drop the link? Sure, I will drop the link.
Sure, cat.
Here is the link. Oh, you're already here, Guapo. Unless you're time.
Yep, I'm right here.
Okay, I'm just going to go through the comments and then we'll continue our discussion. Anything I need to say?
Excuse me.
Okay.
Baby boomers in the late. Can we leave them alone? Greetings. Hey, we got Kojo over here. God of Warhammer.
Yesterday.
Evil. So are souls made by humans or God? Is it just your? This is just my comic book world. Yeah, I'm no expert. This is just. Yeah. I don't want to give it away. But souls are God. Think of God as a giant. In my world, think of God as the ocean, and every once in a while, a droplet comes to Earth, and then that droplet has the ability to expand into a pool of water, and then when it dies, it trickles back into the ocean. So literally, souls are just God is made up of everybody's soul put together is God. So who creates who? That's for theologians to decide. That's the way souls work in my comic book. And that's what the metaphysician character is there to explore. Azathoth is basically a cool thought experiment in existentialism. What if a mad god's dream? He has no agency because he's asleep and constantly being sung lullabies. Yeah,
remember in the center of the universe where he's asleep, there's a constant band of music to keep him asleep. So that way he won't wake up. Yeah.
They even said Bones McCoy gives an elegant speech in the first Star Trek movie, the motion picture, the one everybody besides me hates. That's my favorite Star Trek movie. But he says, I'm not going to have my molecules destroyed, broken down, and then a pattern created halfway across the universe. They literally, and it's patterns. They disintegrate your body and rebuild your body through replicators. Yeah, make my own rules, my own comic book world, my own rules. Make your own copy. Your body's not destroyed when it's teleported. Doesn't kill you. That's just it. In Star Trek, they never expressly. This is just a thought experiment. Yes, I'm assuming these are my rules in my world. Not Star Trek. I can't enforce my world on Gene Roddenberry. Matter is neither created nor destroyed. Just, yep. In fairness, we do see it being destroyed. The body isn't destroyed when it's stabbed either, but it still dies. We're talking sci-fi that transports. That's your own. Yes. Right. If Gene Roddenberry, or not Gene, whoever's in charge of Star Wars now, I don't even know who's in charge of Star Wars or Star Trek. If they come out and say that, that's their world. That's their rules. I can't argue with their rules. But to me, it's more fun and it creates more drama. And I got a lot of good story ideas out of the idea of teleportation disintegrates your body and rebuilds it elsewhere minus the soul. I got a whole freaking campaign based out of that. Hail the ambulance, nerds. Oh, pretty sure that happened in our robot, the book, not the movie. All right, there's so many comments. So Eric, you've been here for a while. You've been quiet. What do you want to say? I'm going to read the comments and address the ones that are relevant.
Oh, I'm just waiting to dive into the lore of Warhammer and Eldritch Gods.
Please do.
Please do. We got 3 people over here who could talk Lovecraft all night long. You're the only one who could do Warhammer, so the floor is now yours.
Okay.
Give me time to
Okay. So I'll preface it with this: like Warhammer there's tons and tons of lore with Warhammer, so I'm not going to dive in. I'm not going to do a deep dive in it, but I'll start off with the creation of the Chaos Gods, because that's what they're called, the Chaos Gods. So there's this. The best way to explain it is kind of like a parallel dimension to the universe of Warhammer. Is called the Warp. And inside the Warp, it's essentially just energy. And that energy responds to essentially like the emotions of the like living beings, or most living beings. And so it's neither good nor evil. But when there's more evil going on, then the Warp is starting to churn out more malevolent entities, and it gives birth to like monsters, like all your nightmares, all that type of stuff, demons, and all that stuff is birthed in the Warp. And so when the Imperium went on this conquest, and there's this perpetual war that's going on between all these different races and factions within Warhammer, because it's not just human, it's humans, Xenos. There's this real cool faction. They're essentially like soulless, undead robots. Very cool stuff. But they're in this perpetual cycle of just war and killing and murder and hedonism and all this stuff. And it gives birth to these chaos entities. And there's several different entities, and they personify different things. Essentially, like Grandfather Nurgle, he's the chaos god of all pestilence and sickness and disease and all that. And then you have Slanesh, who's the chaos god of just like pleasure, essentially, but hedonistic pleasure. So
Right.
like self-flagellation, fornication, indulgence, and all that. You have Korn, who's essentially like the god of bloodlust and war and all that. And you have all these things constantly being fed human souls, because or just the souls of the living beings who die and go to the Warp, because every person that dies, their soul goes to the Warp, and then it gets fed on by the entities that are in there, and they get a little bit more stronger. And that's why these chaos gods, they slowly formed over time and became more like stronger as the longer this war has been going on. And so there's times where these breaks within the Warp happen, and then they're able to cross over into the material world, and then they start infecting and corrupting all that's around there, and it's adding more to the forces, and then they once again feed in to that perpetual cycle of war, and then the Warp getting fed with the souls and all that. And so essentially what's happening in Warhammer is we're fighting this unwinnable battle because the warp is just constantly getting fed, and then eventually it's going to be this huge thing that just devours the whole universe. And so,
I got to ask
yeah,
you,
and
these are the chaos gods. Are there law gods? And if so, are they good?
are there law gods?
Yeah.
So, there's many gods in Warhammer, and they're competing with each other. And so, I believe it's the Eldar. The Eldar is like Warhammer's version of like elves.
Right.
And they have their own set of gods, and all the gods in Warhammer are real, and so like they're all there, but they actually get into conflict with these chaos gods too. And so like for example, I can't remember this goddess's name, but she's the goddess of like healing and medicine and all that, but she got captured by grandfather Nurgle, and he uses her as like a test subject for the new plagues and stuff that he
Is it
creates.
Isha, the goddess of life?
Say that again.
The elven gods. I'm looking up the elven gods of Warhammer. There's Isha, the goddess of life, Escharon, creator god, and Lilia, goddess of dreams. I'm just looking up all this stuff.
Yeah. I'm not too familiar with the names. Like, there's so much lore into that, but there is that conflict. So like the Eldar still have their gods, but some of them has been captured. Some of them even died as well. And then there's this race called the Necron.
Right.
They're this soulless robotic race, and their lore is amazing. Their lore is real cool. But
I'm just going to stop you to read a super chat. I very
go ahead.
Super chat, so I want to make sure that I address them in a timely manner. First off, thank you.
Of course.
Fading Fast, I think that's 10 pounds. The difference between Lovecraft and Warhammer gods is there's an interest in humanity. Most elder gods, so the Lovecraft gods are the elder gods. They barely recognize us. We are like mites in the carpet. The chaos gods of Warhammer are very interested in us. Good distinction.
Yeah.
Dave backs me up with Isha. There are orc gods, Gork and Mork. The Tau auxiliaries created a god of the greater good. Kind of ominous, though. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Go ahead. I didn't want to. Just so you have a super chat. I don't want to be, forget about stuff.
Oh yeah, of course. You never want to ignore that.
Right.
Yeah.
I just want to address Warhammer from my knowledge, and we got Dave in the audience. He could correct me if I'm wrong. It borrows from a lot of sources. Like it borrows from Tolkien with elves, orcs, dwarves. It borrows from from Heinlein, with Space Marines fighting bugs. That's the Tyranid. They're like space bugs. And then there's Gene Stealers, which are like alien. And the Gods of Chaos, that's from Michael Moorcock, from the Eternal Champion was the Gods of Chaos are always fighting the Gods of Law, Elric of Meldabone and Count Brass and all that stuff. I love all that stuff as a teenager. And you throw this all into a pot, you get Warhammer. So thank you. I just wanted to say that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I remember Michael Moorcock got into a legal suit with Games Workshop for a while over that.
Oh, he did? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they directly stole his work. The main chaos symbol for Warhammer is actually copied directly from his story. Yeah.
Yep. That's Ariax. And that's one of the things, blood and souls for my Lord Ariak, Plus, Ariak is just a cool word. Ariak. It's fun. Some of Lovecraft are primarily in the material world. The Warhammer gods are primarily in the immaterial world. Yes and no. The Lovecraft gods, they're tough to explain and wrap your head around. We'll get to that when we start talking about
because isn't that kind of the point of the Eldritch gods? Like they're supposed to be like the fear of the unknown,
right?
And
they are ineffable, pure. We can't understand their motives. We can't understand what they want, and for the most part, we can't even pronounce their names. What the names that we know are just human approximations of their true name. They exist in. When I say other dimensions, I don't mean like the alternate Earth. What I mean is like we exist in 3 dimensions, but they exist in infinite dimensions. That's why they're called the many-angled ones and stuff. This is another crazy thing I used to do as a kid. I used to try to map out what Yog Sothoth would actually look like because he is from a higher dimension. Like, this is just weird. But Carl Sagan talked about Flatland. He did this thought experiment of Flatland, and it was a world where only one dimension exists. So everything existed as a plane, like a rectangle or a dot. And to them, they perceived people, they could only perceive you as a dot or a line. And then the 2-dimensional people could see rectangles and circles and shapes. And us as 3-dimensional beings, we could look down and see, dot land, 1-dimensional space, 2nd-dimensional space, we could see the actual shapes. And then somewhere there's 4th-dimensional beings, like in this imaginary thought experiment. And not only that, they would be able to see inside of us. And when they speak, their voices would be inside of it. So to me, that was always just like they're telepathic. They have X-ray vision. Like they pass through the worlds. Like that, and then the Lovecraft gods are many times more dimensions above that. So who knows what powers they have just intrinsic to their nature. All right, this is getting really weird, but I like talking about this stuff. Oh, Dave is here. How you doing, Dave?
How's it going?
This is
There
Dave.
we go.
He's one of my neighbors. Me and him play Lord of the Rings. Gabe, we got to play that again one of these days.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know, Dave, but I like your shirt.
There we go. Someone with some class in here.
Yeah.
Love it.
Someone wants to ask Eric, does Warhammer take place in current time in world or their stories across time, if I make sense?
No, it's the way I understand. So I'm not an expert in the lore, but from what I understand is that Warhammer is 40,000 years into our current Earth's future.
Correct.
Yeah, it's not set in the modern age. 40K is far future, and then there's fantasy, which is a separate verse entirely, but they are kind of connected. Our world did exist. That's kind of what it's based on, like the emperors, ancient Sumerian, supposedly. But we don't really know what went on during that whole period. We just know about the future because it's a dark age. We don't know their history anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it fair to say that Warhammer really is like a mosaic of other sci-fi fantasy things put together? Like there's Alien, there's Lord of the Rings, there's Michael Moorcock, and it developed like that. I didn't know that there was a lawsuit with Michael Moorcock.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing as fantasy, is combining all the fantasy stories that existed, all the famous ones. 40K is the same for sci-fi, taking all the popular sci-fi of the time, whether it's Dune, Star Wars, anything like that, and making it its own. And a funny thing, they had the same thing happen to them with Blizzard. Blizzard took them and made StarCraft. But yeah, they got in big trouble with Michael Moorcock. I don't know how it went. I think everything was settled behind closed doors, but they stole a lot from other people's works.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of Heinlein, like the whole concept of Space Marines and space bugs is right out of Starship Troopers, to the point where I remember thinking that Starship Troopers was part of Warhammer.
Well, the Tyranids in general, they kind of had to go through certain redesigns because they almost seemed too close to the xenomorph from those movies. Yeah. So,
yeah, like Dave, like would you say gene stealers are they alien from Aliens?
I would say Starship Troopers is probably more accurate with the comparison, but yeah, you could also go that route too. I mean, with the particular unit or whatever. Yeah,
Tyranids, like you're right, they do take from different sci-fi, and the way they manage to do that is they make each faction has its own individual factions in it. So like Space Marines, there's not just one group of Space Marines, there are many, and even divided amongst those groups. For Tyranids, there's a big main group like Hive Fleet Tyrant or anything like that. And those are just general space bugs. That's where you get like Starship Troopers. But then you have Gene Stealers, which are more based off of Xenomorphs. They do the body horror thing where they're slowly taking you over, changing you into a monstrosity.
Right? Like Warhammer is, to my knowledge, Warhammer is 40,000 years in our future.
Right.
Yes.
Right? I didn't realize that Warhammer Fantasy is its own separate thing. It makes sense since our past isn't the fantasy past. I always thought it was 40,000 years in the future of the fantasy, but I didn't play that.
Yeah,
much.
I think they actually blew up that world too, right? In the fantasy world.
Yeah, that's another thing. The Age of Sigmar, like they literally destroyed the universe and recreated it.
Yeah, so the end times happened and the Chaos Gods were beaten during that time. So like a lot of them are imprisoned. That's also why people think that the 40K universe is actually just a miniaturized like bauble in the fantasy universe, because it's kind of referenced a few places, but no one really knows exactly how they're connected, just that they are.
Yeah, I know a lot of people, just like Dave, you're not one of the people that gave me all your X-Wing stuff, but like Rich Cohen did. Adam Oaks, like I think Roy gave me like tubs and tubs and tubs of when they restarted the game, and a lot of people did the same thing with Age of Sigmar. I know a lot of people were ticked off, and people put a lot of time, love, and investment in their hobbies, and when you restart DC every 5 years, it makes me not want to get invested in DC. It feels like it doesn't matter. When you restart Warhammer, it really, like, how many new people? Oh, just make an easier version of Warhammer and sell that, like, Warhammer Light, and then let people graduate to Warhammer Ultimate or something like that. They did that with D&D. There was basic D&D, intermediate D&D, and advanced D&D, and it was all the same. But it's like sticking your toes in the water.
It definitely needed to be redone. The game was pretty much dead. I mean, for the people that played it were like the people that were in from the beginning. They bought their army, they had everything, and then never needed to spend another dollar in the game. So how does that game survive? So you kind of needed to do something different. And unfortunately, they changed it to the point where the base sizes and everything were completely different. So that's where you get the separation, and that's where I could see rank and file and stuff. That was all taken away, and the strategic of it was not there anymore. And that, at least for the people that like that style, though, I hear they're bringing it back. So who knows?
A lot of the apologies.
Good.
I was just going to say, I was always more into 30K and 40K in terms of, the sci-fi side of it. But from what I remember from fantasy, because they have big events whenever anything like this happens, both as miniatures and in the books. So like when apocalypse events happens in the books, they'll have apocalypse tournaments, stuff like that. But in fantasy, a lot of people were upset because a lot of big story points that they were building up through the books kind of got rushed through and snapped up. Like there's a character called the Avatar of Cain, which is like an elven god of war. He was supposed to be a bigger role in the story, and he kind of got killed in an unsatisfying way when everything kind of ended. Major characters like the Tomb Lords, which are these mummy, I should say, that were able to create mass armies of undead. Their leader kind of got beaten in a weird way too. But he was cool in the story. It's just he died.
Wasn't he the main antagonist, basically?
He was kind of meant to be more. He kind of, once again, he died in a very odd way. A lot of the big bosses should have been more important, but they weren't.
Yeah. There's also just so many important characters. I guess it's just hard to like give everybody their light when there's 30 factions and yada yada.
Is it fair to say that those whatchamacallit necromongers and why can't I think of Vin Diesel's movies?
The Necrons.
Is it fair to say that that's Warhammer? Like that's definitely inspired by Warhammer. The
Riddick movie.
Yeah, the Riddick Chronicles.
Okay, yeah, it probably most likely is. I can't say for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised.
But I know that he plays Dungeons Dragons, and I know he plays Warhammer, and he's a nerdy guy. And then he made, I think Riddick was like just like Heroic Tales grew out of my role playing game, I think Riddick grew out of his Warhammer game, and then he changed it enough legally distinct to not be Warhammer. That's what I heard, and I can't remember where it was, so I can't prove it like Riddick or Warhammer is watching me. But if
I could
you
see
watch
that.
Chronicles of Riddick, especially that last one, that they were like the Necrons. The Necromongers were the Necrons.
Kind of.
Oh.
They do a thing where they extract. If I remember the story right for Chronicles of Riddick, Necromongers kind of have who they are extracted out of them, and they become like these living hollow soldiers, and they kind of just follow whoever the leader is, kind of. But Necrons, they're not just like hollowed out. I don't know if because I was trying to get it set up. Was it explained like how Necrons came to be?
No, not yet.
Necrons were originally an incredibly advanced race, but they lived on a planet that was irradiated. So they were constantly in pain, despite how advanced they were. They found another very advanced race that had mastered interstellar travel and requested help from them, but they kind of got denied help. They found a loophole, though. They had gotten in contact with these almost star-like entities that they considered gods, and they offered them a way out if they could change them to make them more like them. But it was all kind of a trick, a lie. The way they did it is they effectively took their souls and turned them into soulless machines, like controlled by them. So there is nothing left, not just spiritual, like at all. There's no physical aspect to them anymore. The warp isn't just a place that you travel in between in 40K. The only way you can really access and utilize the warp is if you have a soul. And because they had their souls ripped from them, they basically took away any ability for them to function like any of the other races.
Yeah. And is that why the orcs aren't really affected by the warp too? Because like they're more like I guess more like living mushrooms or something.
Yeah.
Well, it's the opposite. Technically speaking, the orcs and the Eldar are the two most powerfully psychic species in the world.
Yeah.
They were made by the same race that the Necrons reached out to for help. The ancient ones are the super powerful beings. They were kind of in trouble when the Necrons became machines because they were guided by these star gods. They went to war with them. So they decided to make two races to fight them, one being Orc, one Eldar. Orcs, their special psychic ability is anything that they believe, as long as they believe it hard enough and in unison, they can make it happen. So, like,
and I love that about orcs. I really love that about orcs, because that they could just like take garbage and put it together, and it's like, hey, this trash can lid could shoot an explosive pig just because I believe it.
Yeah. And, like if you believe the color red makes your vehicle faster, it'll go faster because they believe it.
Yeah. Well, wasn't there a rule for that in the game? If you paint your vehicle's red, or that was just an ability, maybe?
I don't know if they implemented that as a rule, but I know like there are like wah powers. They're screaming abilities that give them powers. But I guess a good rule of thumb to say like how powerful a race is, every race will have a god assigned to them. It's not that they were like their god made them, but because of their faith, their belief, and the power of their souls, a god will eventually manifest one way or another. So the orcs created two gods, Gork and Mork, I think. And I guess it's kind of hard to explain because I need to give context for what this is. There's a group of people, the Space Marines. There's a progenitor for Space Marines called Primarchs. Primarchs are like the big bads of their groups. Orcs back in the day, they weren't called orcs. They were called Krork. That was their original species name. The average Krork back then at the start was effectively on par with a Primarch. The one time a Krork showed up in the modern 40K, it took a crusade to bring it down and kill it, and it was just one. And back when they were fighting the Necron, there were legions of them, millions or billions of them at any given time.
And back then,
what happened to the orcs?
The Krorks.
The Krorks? Well, back then they were fighting alongside with the Eldar to kill the Necrons, but the Necrons are particularly hard to kill. They're effectively immortal. Eventually, though, the Necrons figured out that it was pointless to fight the orcs. The way the orcs work, they're kind of like an army of Hulks. The more and more you fight them, the stronger and stronger they get. They thrive off of war. So the way they found to beat them is, well, you know what? We're just going to hibernate in planets. So they all went dormant. The orcs kept fighting, but with no opponent left to fight, all their powers started fading away, and they started getting smaller and weaker. They started losing their psychic powers until the point they became orcs. Orcs are really small in comparison to orcs. It's like a midget trying to fight a strong man, like Brian Shaw or something. They're that much smaller than an actual Krork is.
Yeah, I love that lore. It's just funny. But yeah, they've been dormant for years, and some of the Necron planets are being reactivated and such.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
So this, it's clobber time. We were going to talk about the gods. So as far as I know Khorne, god of the god of battles, Slanesh, like the god of sensuality and destructive pleasure. I can't pronounce these names. Tisneech, the magic god.
Oh, Tzeentch.
Tzeentch.
Oh, Tzeentch. Yeah.
And who am I missing? There's one more, right?
Khorne, Nurgle, Tzeentch,
Nurgle.
Slanesh.
And then there's the horned rat that the rat people worship. So what are their powers? What are their feats? What are they known for?
Khorne is the blood god.
Yeah.
And
so
war, bloodshed.
I mean, people know that there's the negative and a positive side to them. They're mostly negative now, but I'll use Khorne as an example because he's the most straightforward. Just to start with, Khorne is now known as the god of kind of blood, murder, skulls. That's his main thing right now. But he's also known as the warrior god. He's the god of honor, the god of duels, competition. What his abilities are, he has quite a few. He has a great deal of manipulation over fire. He can, like all chaos gods, he can bend reality to his will on a massive scale. The main kind of issue they run into is that they have a hard time materializing it on the physical plane unless they have enough worshippers around or they have a chaos priest or something like that present. But really, as long as they are strong enough and they have strong enough presence in an area, they can effectively do whatever they want. But his main thing is everything involving battle. So any kind of weapon, warriors, that's his main shtick.
Yeah, don't they actually don't like sorcery much, right? The Khorne followers?
Yeah,
yes.
I was just reading that. They detest sorcery, it says.
Yeah.
They don't mind using it when it's absolutely necessary, but they despise having to.
Yeah.
The Chaos Gods in general don't like each other. They just work with each other on occasion.
Yeah.
But the one that Khorne hates the most is Tzeentch. Like, he wants nothing to do with them if he can. Because Tzeentch is the schemer. He likes to be in the background and manipulating things, whereas Khorne would rather just punch you in the face.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I'm just trying to put together like an adequate scale for a battle. So they do need worshippers.
Yes. So that is a big thing between like Lovecraft and then 40K. The 40K gods are formed from, they need the souls of humans. They need belief. They need action. So, and it could be any kind of action that's in their portfolio. So like for Khorne, if you kill someone, that would make him stronger. Or if you were a warrior and you fought someone honorably, that can give him power. But if there are no people, they lose a great deal of it. They basically become minor spirits. Whereas, if I remember right, for H.P. Lovecraft, the gods there, if you go high enough, just really don't care. They just happen to exist, and so do you.
I was going to say the Lovecraft gods do not. Not only do they not require worshippers, it's like it's unnecessary. You know, some of like the only one of them who actually would pay attention to any form of worship would be Nyarlathotep, and he has many different forms, and most of them are just beyond and destructive. But every once in a while, like he has an avatar called the Black Man, and he's just like literally like reflective black, not like a Negroid person, but like a reflective mirror black, and he actively gets involved in humanity. One of the stories is he taught humanity nuclear weapons because he wants to see destruction. And there's another avatar that he almost looks like a human that is almost kind. So, but Cthulhu doesn't need worshippers, nor does it desire. Azathoth probably isn't even aware of anything outside of itself.
Cthulhu has his own worshippers, the deep ones,
and Starspawn.
And
now,
well,
quick question with the Cthulhu. Not that familiar. Do they need like their worshippers to like open portals to get them into the realm, or do they just show up when they show up? Because I'm always not really exactly curious how they come into our realm or their realm.
They travel through space when the stars align perfectly, and that's how they're able to do it. If the stars are correct.
What Cthulhu needs. See, this is the thing: is Lovecraft purposely made it misleading and open to interpretation. But I always thought that Cthulhu was the weakest of all of his god.
Well,
really?
This is my stupid rule: is the more human-looking you look, the less powerful you are. Again, logic finders will argue with me, but that is just a rule that I made up. And believe it or not, Cthulhu is the most human-looking out of all of the gods. You know, Nyarlathotep can take human form, but he's everywhere and everything. But anyway, Cthulhu is literally the high priest of Agath, or is it Azathoth? Now I'm forgetting. But there's a race called the Starspawn, and they look like smaller versions of Cthulhu. And Sandy Peterson, who designed Cthulhu Wars game, he designed the game Doom. He interprets this as that because it even says that Cthulhu is the high priest of the Starspawn. That the more Starspawn that are awake, they transfer their powers to Cthulhu. So when Cthulhu woke up in the Call of Cthulhu, he woke up first. And again, this is probably wrong. This is Sandy Peterson's interpretation, and I subscribe to this because it makes sense to me. But I'm not saying that this is what Lovecraft wanted. But he was defeated by a sailing ship, stabbed Cthulhu in the chest, and then Cthulhu oozed and started to heal, and then the island went back down. How is this all-powerful being basically he took less damage than Godzilla? So Godzilla should just destroy Cthulhu because he was the first one to awake, and the rest of the Starspawn weren't awake yet to transfer power. But he says had the Starspawn awoken first and transferred power, there's nothing Cthulhu can't do. Again,
okay.
Who knows?
The Starspawn had more of a starfish head. Sort of.
No. Those are the elder things.
Oh, okay. Okay.
From what I remember, that's actually not far. At least what you said in terms of the more human-looking are, the less godly they are. In H.P. Lovecraft's work, like I said, it depends on how high you go, but Cthulhu is close to the bottom. So Cthulhu is in reality not even really a god. He's more like a super powerful alien, like most of the lower ones are.
He's like the most powerful of his race.
He's kind of like Heracles, but for them, he's a demigod.
Right.
But when you get to characters, I think it might be Azathoth or something like the Guardian of the Gate. He's one of the few actual genuine gods of the Lovecraft universe that still interacts with people, and people go to him for knowledge. Yes, that's it. They'll go to him for knowledge or arcane spells, things like that. And the way I've had it explained, I think it was explained pretty well. It's not so much that when people conduct rituals and stuff, they're making them do X, Y, and Z, or that they need their faith. It's like if you walked upon a pile of ants, and then the ants started forming circles, and then somehow addressed you and said, I formed this circle, so I demand you give me sugar. And then you decide to humor the ants because you find that kind of interesting, and you decide to give them sugar to see what happens. That's really kind of how the gods work. They don't really have to do any of it. They're just doing it to see what happens.
Are they communicating like through like a different realm, like doing a ritual to get their attention, or is it just like they're always present type thing? That's
a couple. Okay, so there's different. First off, there's Shub Niggurath, which I consider like the second weakest. So I'm going to go at level of what I consider power. Shub is a fertility god, or goddess or whatever. But it's Shub, the black goat of 1,000 spawn. That is just unfettered biology. Like it's just fecundity and breeding. So to me, I always thought he was just like a fungus or a bacteria that just spreads. It's almost like a disease and just creates various life forms. So to me, that's like a tangible body and everything. So I always put that at the lower rung. And then after that, you get like Nyarlathotep. And I remember reading this, and I always thought this was so interesting, but I can't remember where I read it, that they said that Nyarlathotep, his original name is Jarl, Nyar, Nyar, and the Lotep just meant he first made contact in Egypt and then became associated with Egypt. But they said that he is the soul of the old ones. Now, again, I wish I remembered where I read that, and I always found that to be so interesting. Like these beings share one soul, and the soul itself has its own wants and desires.
The way I always got Nyarlathotep was he was the physical manifestation, personification of the old one, of the elder gods here. He was the one that was sowing chaos, and,
Right. He
influencing.
the one that interacted with humanity the most. He took different forms. He's the bloated woman in China. He was the black man in Nephrim Ka in ancient Egypt.
And he was also the one that informed the Mad Arab, Abdul al-Hazar, how to write the Al-Aziz.
No, it wasn't. That they were Migu.
Yes, but he was pushing him towards that.
Okay.
Yeah. And that way, because what is the Necronomicon? The Necronomicon is essentially a book of cheat codes that allows you to predict when things are right, to bring.
Yeah, the Necronomicon's original name was the Al-Azif.
Yes, the Al-Azif.
So I have a question.
Sound of insects.
I have a question about the Eldritch gods.
Sure.
So hearing you guys speak about them, it sounds like they're very disinterested in humans for the most part, aside from, I guess, like entertainment. But how do they interact with the, I guess the material world?
Yeah.
Like, do they have dominion over it? Like, can they?
Well,
I don't know, like squish a mountain if they want.
Because like most of the Cthulhu or Lovecraftian stuff I've ever heard was like people try to like RPG. If you try to stop a cult from summoning or trying to stop something, not that like they're like, oh, they inhabited a soul and now they're here already.
Well, like I said, it depends on what rank they are. Someone like Yog-Sothoth doesn't really care what people do. I mean, some of them, if they wake up, it could just wipe out the universe. Like us, we're completely, irrelevant. Others, like you were talking about the Black Goat of the Woods, it's not even really a person. It's more like the whole Thousand Young thing is supposed to give you the idea it's just infinite void that creates monstrosities. It's interested in us because it's a fertility deity. So anything that can create life, it wants to interact with us to make us create things, for better or for worse. Or the elder god Yig. Yig is the creator of the snake men. Like the reason why there are snake men in Conan and all that, he made all the snake people, both in Lovecraft and Conan's universe. They interact for specific reasons the lower they go. But it depends on what kind of story you want to have told, really.
Okay.
But when you're going into Yig and Sathagu and stuff, those were creations added later. Are we staying with the Lovecraft stuff, or are we?
Yeah, you could bring. I wasn't going to bring them up because I never read like Belkap and what's his name.
Oh well, I was just using them as an example to tell you that there are different levels to them. You don't need to necessarily use the future iterations.
Okay.
As far as interactions, a couple of gods did interact. Or elder gods, whatever you want to call them, because these are monsters. You know what I mean? Call them gods is almost like an insult, but you know what I'm talking about. But Cthulhu interacted. He has the star spawn. The deep ones don't worship Cthulhu; they worship Dagon and Mother Hydra, and they're human. They're almost like werefish. They're human beings that turn into fish, and like salmon, they return to where they spawn and they turn into fish. And they capture humans to breed with them, and supposedly deep ones never. They live forever. They're immortal, and they will keep growing as long as the food supplies. So they can get the size of whales, but if they start instead of starving to death, they shrink. So, and supposedly Dagon will kill any deep one that approaches his size and power. That's the lore of the deep one. But the next god. So I talk about Shub-Niggurath, Cthulhu. Yog-Sothoth is my favorite of all the gods. Yog-Sothoth is the keeper of the gate, the personification of mathematics. He is, or it is, the personification of time and space. So Yog-Sothoth exists everywhere and everywhen at once. And one of my favorite Lovecraft stories is Beyond the Silver Key, and it's Randolph Carter, who Randolph Carter was Lovecraft insert, and he time traveled and then dream traveled, and he died and went to the future and came back from the past, all in the spirit form, and he encountered Yog-Sothoth, and Yog-Sothoth implied that John Carter, Randolph Carter, is Yog-Sothoth, meaning that we are all Yog-Sothoth. Because anything that exists is it's a real trippy story, and people say that never happened, and I doubt. Maybe it's not. Maybe I misinterpreted it. But Yog-Sothoth is everywhere and everyone at once. Yog-Sothoth's opposite is Azathoth. Azathoth is a point. So think of Azathoth as a specific time and a place, and Yog-Sothoth is everything else. And Azathoth is the nuclear blind idiot god. And when he wakes up, everything gets destroyed. I always interpreted that, and I may be wrong, as when he wakes up, it's literally a nuclear explosion. It's the Big Bang. When he wakes up, it's a new Big Bang. So I think Azathoth is the personification or whatever anthropomorphic of the Big Bang.
The way I always saw Azathoth was he was the top. They all were under him.
Well,
and essentially, yeah. So it's like that row your boat gently downstream. Life is but a dream. Essentially, when he wakes up, we all cease to exist. That's why we're all afraid of him.
Wake up, it's the creation of a new universe. It's Big Bang, But and supposedly there's planets that orbit him that are entities among themselves, and they create like the music of the spheres. They say the flutes and everything, and it just keeps Azathoth sleepy, because if he wakes up, and I think of it as an atom. It's a nuclear atom with protons and electrons, and if any of those proton and electrons, it causes an ion, it becomes unstable, and is a nuclear explosion. That's just, again, that's my interpretation. Don't fight.
So is there any godlike entity in the Warhammer 40K pantheon that can match Azathoth? A being that could literally wipe out all of existence just by waking up?
Not that I could think of.
So there you go.
Well, it depends on how theoretic you want to get. None of the chaos gods as we know them, and they're the biggest, baddest gods around for now that are around. They're all galactic level. They do work on a higher plane than us, but they pretty much don't go farther than our galaxy as far as we know. But there is a theoretical fifth one, and due to the more recent updates in the story involving the Emperor, it's kind of implied that one god and the Emperor of mankind are kind of intertwined with each other. They may or may not be the same being. They may be separate, but that one deity is supposedly stronger than all of them combined. We don't know what scale that goes to, but it's supposed to be unimaginably powerful to where it can just affect all of reality, not just things on a galactic scale. But that's a big what if. But then again, so is Azathoth.
I want to say that Yog-Sothoth does interact with humanity. In the Dunwich Horror, page 851 of the Necronomicon explains the ritual to summon. And I really like your explanation. We don't summon these beings. We basically just attract their attention. That is so cool. That's like an idea that I can't help but start daydreaming about, like how magic spells. Because I always thought about that, like you summon Zeus. Well, then isn't Zeus the slave of like a 7th level magic user spell? No, Zeus, it's basically these summoning spells. Now you got me thinking, it's just shooting up a flare. And then just like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. I want to see what's going on over there. Or I'm too busy to respond right now. Or I'm taking a nap. Leave me alone. Or F you, man. I was doing something cool, and now you bothered me. I'm stomping you out. So take the risk.
Yeah, I like that. I like that idea too, because it keeps those higher beings in that station. They're still above us or greater than us. We're not yanking them down to our level.
Right.
Yeah, I like that.
Some warlock who's been a warlock for 5 years gets somebody. But anyway, in the Dunwich Horror, they don't explain how, but somehow they offered up one of the Whately women. Why can't I think of her name? And this poor woman mated with Yog Sothoth.
Wilbur.
Wilbur was the child. I forget Wilbur's name. And it's one of the few women mentioned in Lovecraft. Lovecraft doesn't have a lot of female characters, and none of them are particularly pleasant. And she gave birth to 2 children. Wilbur almost looked like a horrible satyr. So he had like goat-like feet, and he was 7 feet tall when he was 14 years old, and he was covered with fur, and he had this like horrible-looking face. And then when he removed his coat, he had like tentacles from like his chest to his groin. And he was just freaking gross. And then when he got killed, they's like, oh well, he was the one that looked. The other brother looks more like his father, and it was just literally the size of a barn. They built a barn to house the brother. I forget if he even had a name, and he was just like this furry amoeba with faces and horns and hundreds of legs and feet. And that was the Dunwich Horror that trampled through Dunwich, knocking down houses. I think it was invisible until they put this powder on it, and then they could see it. And what, did they kill it with dynamite? I'm trying to remember how they killed the older. But that it had a human face at the front of it. Make it even more
creepy.
Yes,
that is creepy.
And Azathoth, as far as I know, never interacted with humanity, nor do anybody, even the evil beings don't want to interact with them.
There's in the book in Necronomicon, you can actually, if you perform magic, you can call on him. You can empower some of your magic by calling on his name, but he doesn't actually interact with you.
Yeah,
it's just sort of And
I'm trying to think, am I missing any? Oh yeah, Haster.
Yeah.
He interacts with human beings. Haster is like, he's also the King in Yellow.
He's
that was not a look.
Yeah, I was about to say that it was a future, like a completely different author, but it was included as a cognito hazard.
Right.
John W. Chambers, The King in Yellow, and that book influenced Lovecraft in the creation of his.
And Lovecraft encouraged people to share his universe. He wrote letters to all of his friends, like Howard, who wrote Conan, and what's his name?
Well, just out of curiosity, because most people only know about Haster kind of in a roundabout way through H.P. Lovecraft or through other very popular stories. Do you know like what the funny thing is about it being a cognito hazard? In the story about the King in Yellow is never actually addressed. You just see kind of the effects of it. Right. And the whole point of the story is by reading and hearing about the story of the King in Yellow, you're actually starting to cause a cognito hazard event about the King in Yellow. So by us mentioning the King in Yellow and Haster, we've created a cognito hazard. So we're creating another story by mentioning him.
What is that term? A cognito hazard? What does that mean?
A cognito hazard is something that you are cognizant of. So if you read something, it only has effects if you know about it. So like, let's say a picture would curse you. You will only get cursed if you're, cognizant of it, or you read a line of scripture and that will have an effect on you. Oh, okay. So Haster only has an effect if you can read it.
Right.
Go ahead.
Chambers, who he wrote The King in Yellow. I bought the book, and it's a play.
Yeah,
and there's kayfabe about it. Like I don't know, but I love this kind of stuff. But apparently, the play is a spell to summon the King in Yellow. So the King in Yellow, has a play, and performing the play causes you to summon the King in Yellow, and then insanity occurs. So it's this, like, the whole thing is they wrote a play, and then you perform the play, and everybody, all the actors and all the patron of the arts who watch the play, they all go mad and have an orgy of sex and violence until everybody's mad. So in the Lovecraft story, it's like, oh yeah, they performed the King in Yellow and that theater burnt down. Like, oh, what an odd coincidence. Like, people didn't realize that. Why would you think it's a play is a spell? Like Romeo and Juliet's not a spell, but I always found that to be fascinating, that like, here is a play that when performing it causes your destruction. It's like a cursed play.
And he was the bad guy in the first season of True Detective.
Correct.
Yeah.
I remember watching True Detective, and we watched it, week to week. It was, and the guys that I worked with were fascinated about, and I said, "You're not gonna like the ending. It's gonna be magic." Like, what are you talking about? Because it was all super realistic, and then at the end there's a porthole, and you know what I mean.
Mhm.
Like it's Lovecraft. They were going to Carcosa. Carcosa is like where the King in Yellow lived. It's either a planet or a dimension. We don't know. A student of God. What are we talking about? We're talking about the Warhammer gods versus the Lovecraft gods. And if you don't know, that just means you're paying attention.
Now, here's my argument of why the Warhammer gods are better.
Okay.
Because they have actually destroyed planets of multiple civilizations. They don't theory craft of, if you wake up, this might happen. They've actually done it.
Oh, they got proof. They got physical proof there. Hard to argue with physical proof.
That's my only argument, really, other than the fact that, the other guys.
Yeah, because they seem far more destructive.
Well, I would give one big thing in their favor in the 40K. While the Lovecraft gods just are, they kind of just their own thing.
Yeah.
40K gods feed on every living thing that's sentient and has psychic energy. So anything that a Lovecraft god does pretty much makes them stronger. So if they release a plague, that makes a plague god stronger. If they kill someone, they make Khorne stronger. It's,
if they technically were operating in the same multiverse, I guess they would feed off each other.
I would say it's almost like different. Like, first off, the Cthulhu gods, the Lovecraft gods, they are on such a different time scale that it's almost like Khorne and all those guys. They do so much in a 10-year period, whereas Yog-Sothoth and Cthulhu, they're still like asleep or not moving. Like, they've got billions and billions of years that they're to mechanize their schemes, if they even have schemes. Like, so, like, in all of human history, we still don't understand what Yog-Sothoth wants to do, or Azathoth wants to do, if they want to do anything. Whereas Khorne, in a billion years, he does a lot. He accomplishes a lot, right?
Yeah, the birth of Slanesh instantly destroyed Eldor's like pantheons and their empire. Just
like I could see I don't even like I think like the Cthulhu like Yog-Sothoth isn't just this being that just I want to meddle in all of it. He is the embodiment of time and space.
Okay.
It's hard to do. It's hard to do a battle like this because Lovecraft kept everything.
They fight? Because the Warhammer gods exist within Yog-Sothoth's body. You know what I mean? Like, I could see them fighting Cthulhu or Yig. They'd probably kick the crap out of Yig. But like I don't see anybody, like, nobody would stand a chance against Azathoth. Like, you interact him, boom, you just ended the universe. You know what I mean? So I could see even Khorne and all those.
So I guess those abstract, I don't know. I was about to say chaos gods, but the Eldritch gods, I guess no one could really contend with them because, I
think even with them, they rank like you could, like, I could see like the magic god Shanice, like, really messing up Shub-Niggurath, because Shub-Niggurath is just like uncontrolled breeding and life. You know what I mean? That's something tangible that can be manipulated. But all of time and space.
Yeah, I mean, that's just like.
Well, funny enough, there is a running. Well, they're not the same, so this is not canon. But a lot of people think that Tzeentch and Nyarlathotep are basically the same guy because they do all the same things.
Yeah, I always associate it. Like, I always put like. How do you say Tzeentch? How do you say that?
You can just ignore the T and just think of it as a Z, so Tzeentch.
I always thought of him as like an evil Loki Hermes, like all like this trickster.
Yeah, influence and manipulation.
Yeah. That's his main thing. But yeah, I mean, you're right. The higher up you go, at a certain point, there's really not anything the Chaos Gods, I think, could do. I mean, if it's just all the gods versus all the gods, Azathoth wakes up and the game's over. So
the
like you said earlier,
universe disappears. So then, yeah.
Yeah, I could see like the Greek gods fighting the Warhammer gods, and oh my god, would that be a great movie? Zeus throwing lightning bolts, and Korn is battling trees and things like that. You know what I mean? Sneech is battling like Artemis, you know, in a battle of wits and things. That would be awesome. But like,
Or even just if you just do the active gods, you know, of Cthulhu's universe, you know, then maybe you have a little more of a.
But
Yeah.
I like I said, when it comes to like the big guns like Azathoth and Yog Sothoth, no, those are like on a level that it's just undefeatable. But like Shub-Niggurath, I don't even think like Shub would be like intelligent. It's just unfettered life creation, disease, plague. You know,
he has intelligence. He's the one. Did you ever read? I'm trying to witch. God, I'm trying to remember that. The character there communicates with it. He's able to summon some. Open up a.
Is that Dreams in the Witch House?
Yeah, Dreams in the Witch House. Thank you. Yeah. So
Jenkin, one of the creepiest, scariest things in all of literature. Mm-hmm. Brown Jenkin is a little rat with a human head.
So should we confine this battle between just like a certain chaos god versus a certain eldritch god?
Yeah, pick the ones that are the closest. So like
Nyarlathotep.
I would say Nyarlathotep. I can't even say it. Nyarlathotep versus Sneech. You know, they're both trickster, conniving, scheming.
Okay. And then the one that you just mentioned, the plague one, you pair him up with Nurgle.
Yeah.
Okay. And the only battle, who would be the closest to it? Like Yig?
Yeah. I'm not sure. They don't really have. I guess it would be Cthulhu because he kind of leads armies.
Cthulhu versus Korn, and then what's that leave left? Who am I forgetting?
Slanesh.
Slanesh.
Oh,
Slanesh is the lug. Who Slanesh versus Shub-Niggurath. You know, because they're both fertility in some strange kind of way, right?
Yeah, Slanesh technically is a fertility god.
So, what do you think, Dave? You know, which one of those two do you think would fight? I mean, we already paired them up.
Yeah,
how these fights would go.
Well, I mean, I'm not too familiar with the other gods, but tell me a little bit more about the comparison to the Tzeentch.
To Tzeentch?
Yeah.
Nyarlathotep and Tzeentch both have kind of the same schemes. They like to mess with the humanity to make machinations on a cosmic scale. They both are unknowable. They're both, as far as I'm aware, they're both masters of magic. They know the arcane like the back of their hand. I think the only real difference between them is that Tzeentch doesn't have a higher power that he often associates with, whereas Nyarlathotep does. So like Azathoth and what's it? The gate and the key. I forget his name already.
Yog-Sothoth.
Yes, Yog-Sothoth. He has two higher powers that he has to address to, whereas Tzeentch does not.
Yeah, and Tzeentch kind of like, from my remembering, he kind of like feeds off of like hope or change. So if like people want a lot of change, he kind of like that's how he gets into people's minds.
Yeah, he feeds off of change, ambition, arcane magic. If you're doing anything that's kind of occulty or underhanded or ambitious, you kind of feed into his power.
And he could change. He could shift his forms too. I know he's been in or portrayed as like feathers and flames. I don't know if anything else I could think of.
From what I know of from Nyarlathotep, he's just known as the crawling chaos for a reason. There's not really much that stands in his way. Whereas Tzeentch has never been known as like a fighting god. They're both schemers, but Nyarlathotep, I hear that no one really wants to fight him, even the other gods.
That's true.
My is Nyarlathotep could just kill all the worshippers, and then what's Sneech's going to do?
Yeah, well, actually, I think just because Nyarlathotep's supposed to be kind of an arse and likes to dick with people, he'd probably turn all of his worshippers to him in a backhanded way, even though he doesn't need them.
you see, that to me seems to be the big weakness of the Warhammer gods is they do have a need for humanity, whereas the Lovecraft guys don't have a need for humanity.
Yeah.
I never heard Marcus so quiet. You're
Well,
this is like something you're so disinterested in.
I don't. No, it's not disinterested. I just I'm listening because I don't really know as much about some of this. I did read up a little bit on it, but it's very complex. And if you don't have the game, you know, of Warhammer particularly, you're really not going to know.
Zinch also has the
I'll
Thousand
wear my
Suns, Space
bias on
Marines.
like I say that the Lovecraft gods, with one exception, win these 4 battles. And I'll talk about my ideas later because I'm a crazy person that just thinks about this stupid shit too much. But see, I don't know enough, but he's all magic. But again, like Nyarlathotep is independent of worship. It matters nothing to him if you worship him or whatever. His power is intrinsic to himself.
Well, I guess in that case, he shows up by himself, and Zeke shows up with 1 million Space Marines, worshippers, magic, and assistants, and basically, you know, equivalent power magic. So I guess that.
And then those followers too, like any creature that's tied to the warp, they don't die. They just their physical form will get destroyed, but then they get reborn in the warp and then they come right back out.
That raises a very strange concept because Lovecraft gods, their whole shtick is that they dream and they can basically bend reality because of just their thoughts. The way they feel can kind of change things. But the way the Chaos gods works is whenever another creature has them, it affects their environment and empowers them. So how would that work with 2 gods? Well, that's maybe going too deep with it, but would Nyarlathotep even doing anything cause a boost in Tzeentch again, just making his magic roughly on par with his?
I got a question for Sinet. What if that warp is into our reality, but the warp's existence is waking up Asathoth? So what happens then?
Oh,
do the gods team up and try to stop it, or you know?
John, this will make it a lot easier. Are we saying the warp and is going to affect the Lovecraft universe the same way as it affects Warhammer, or are they separate? They're just whatever their powers in the universe.
The way I say is you just smush them all to the same universe. 40K.
Okay.
Our Lovecraft is mostly set in like the 30s, so 40K is 40,000 years from Lovecraft. But I got to say, Logic Finest, to answer your question, can they beat Sydney Sweeney in a wet T-shirt contest? No, but she would channel power to Shub-Niggurath as far as breeding and power and more life forms being created. So she would only make the Black Goat of 1,000 spawn more powerful because of lust.
And that also goes for our boy Slaanesh too.
Yep, there you go.
Sydney Sweeney would be the first cultist.
Slaanesh also has its own realm, doesn't it? It's Crystal Labyrinth, or it's a possible fortress, or whatever it's called. So it's like a shifting maze. So he could trap or fight there or defend there, which would even, home turf advantage. Which I'm not sure if his counter would have a similar setup or not.
I'd have to. I'm trying to think of ways where it would be like a more conceivable fight, but I think I'm running to the Dungeons and Dragons problem where the Warhammer gods, even though they're kind of unknown, they've kind of in a way been statted because we've seen what they can and can't do. Whereas the Lovecraft gods, we don't ever get statted. We more or less just hear about them.
No, once they show up, it's over.
If you buy the second edition DDs and Demigods, they have stats.
Yeah, once you statted it, you can kill it, even if you don't say the number.
Right. So I don't know. When it comes to Nyarlathotep and Slaanesh, I don't see who wins.
Yeah, it's a close one.
Yeah.
It depends on whether or not you define what could hurt him, I guess.
So who is the play god? Nurgle versus Shub-Niggurath.
Yeah.
Who do you think wins that one? What is Nurgle's typical tactics?
Decay, rot, and just
and
like just wearing you out. Like he doesn't necessarily win battles, but it's just like a siege.
He's like a cancer to just
yes,
uncontrollable, just like the tortoise and the hare. He just keeps going, keeps going, keeps
Okay.
going, and he kind of corrupts you into his cult as well, because eventually, like you lose your mind, and then this pestilence becomes pleasure, and then like it's a weird transformation.
Yeah.
But he just slowly just
So let's
wears on you.
so shove
I love
Nigger
to
off
say. Oh, sorry.
So what do you guys think? Because I don't know enough about Nurgle, but I just Shub-Niggurath just infinitely reproduces living organisms of elements,
Monsters.
microbes to whatever, and then what? Nurgle would just create plagues.
He could basically corrupt or rot anything. He basically says like stars, mortals, and planets, they all decay.
Right.
Nurgle
Yeah,
was
'cause
before he became what he is, was originally like a nature god, slash nature slash death god. That slowly, because of humanity's fear of death and disease, became a god of plague and disease and rot. If he has fought swarm creatures before, but that's not even really the main issue with fighting someone like that, like the Black Goat. It's more that she can bend reality in ways that Nurgle can't. I mean, if you're just talking about what either one can summon,
Yeah.
Nurgle's gonna win. But the thing is, I don't think you really know that she's like she's up there with like the Crawling Chaos and Yog-Sothoth. She's one of the higher entities. She's not one of the lower ones like Cthulhu. So saying like she creates things, like saying technically a black hole can spew out energy. She is an endless, infinite, whirling mass of beings that thrives on creation of life. I don't think he could really plague things to that degree. Although I will say he has something specifically now called God Blight, which is a disease kind of designed to kill things that are supposed to be immortal, that cannot be killed. So if that can work, that one ability he has, the God Blight, then I would say he would win. If not, I'd have to give it to the Black Goat of the Woods. She's just much grander than Nurgle.
I have a little bit of I find that to be like all too convenient. Like what if you read Thor, they had and he was in that Christian Bale played him. What was he called? Gort the guy.
Gort, yeah.
Gore the God.
The God Butcher.
Or
God
you
bless
are.
you.
One of my problems with that character is like I kind of think it's a cool character, but the thing is, we just created the God killing sword. This sword kills gods, so it just ignores lore, powers. You know what I mean? It's literally just
The cheat code.
It's
the
a
one
cheat
shot
code.
MacGuffin for
So like
drama.
if I was to make a character like the patriarch goes into a cave and he finds the super gun. This gun kills superheroes, so therefore he can beat Superman. You know what I mean? It's like
Moorcock already did that with Stormbringer.
right. Well,
Stormbringer can kill gods.
Yeah, Stormbringer can kill gods. Yes, you're right, but it's not like the God sword just kills gods. You know how convenient?
Yeah, the Necro sword.
Stormbringer. If you read the book, there's a lot of like when he killed Chakal, the fire god, it almost killed Elric, and it almost destroyed the sword. So there are limits there, and then after that, the sword was so shaken it just acted like a normal sword for the rest of the novel. Either it got burnt and wounded, or it was full. We don't really know. But Elric was like, "Come on, sword," and sword's like, "I'm good." So I like that there was a little bit, but like the Gore's God sword, it's just like, I'm gonna kill Zeus. I'm gonna kill. It's to me that's a
to
cheap
defend Nurgle just a little bit. Yeah, usually in Warhammer there's not that many like MacGuffins. There's usually a cost to it.
Yeah.
And how Nurgle is like he's constantly like he's like the witch at the witch in her what's that big ass pot called, the Crucible or
Cauldron
or something?
Cauldron.
Yeah, like he's constantly trying to create new plagues. He's experimenting with stuff, and so he's experimenting with this new plague, and we really don't know the ramifications and its reach yet.
Yeah.
And
I guess I should mention how he made it, because it does make a difference. It's not something he can make on. He technically has it, but he can't make it on his own. He needed to get either the blood of the emperor, which is something, off to the side, or one of his sons. In this case, like a Primarch or something. To give you, do you know who the emperor is? To give context to what I'm saying,
The God Emperor.
Yeah, the God Emperor of mankind.
That's right.
Yeah, he's that skeleton guy that's stuck on a chair or throne. Right?
How dare you?
Yep.
Yes, great. Okay. Basically,
Heretic.
Insult the God Emperor in front of Dave over here.
he's the combination of
Heretic!
the Judeo-Christian God and then Jesus and then also a super tyrant combined.
Yeah.
But
Trump.
Well, that's one way to
There you
go.
I got a joke in there. Yes.
Let's move on to Khorne versus Cthulhu.
Oh, that's just for me an easy one for Khorne.
Okay.
Mhm.
I mean, Cthulhu got hurt significantly by a ship, whereas Khorne has had planets dropped on him and not really been affected.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that one. As much as Cthulhu's all cool and everything like that, he really is the lower tier of these Lovecraftian. The mere fact that he has a material body should be an indication that he's lower. He's not these transcendent beings.
Not only is he like lower having a body, there's a place you can go to him on Earth. You can find his house.
Right. And he's
Relay.
Yeah.
I want to get back to that in a bit too. Something I want to ask you guys. And we leave Yog Sothoth versus who did we say? We did Khorne, Slaanesh. Which one are we leaving out?
No, we haven't done
Tzeentch?
Slaanesh. We've done Nurgle, Tzeentch, and Khorne. So we haven't done Slaanesh.
Yeah.
And who did we team Slaanesh up with?
I think you hadn't decided like if you wanted it to be the Black Goat of the Woods or another one.
I forget who we teamed him up with. But Slaanesh is the pleasure god, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I messed up. I should have been the king in yellow, Hoster versus Nurgle, and then Slaanesh versus the Black God of the Woods, because they were both like kind of sex fertility things. But I did announce the same. Hoster. Unfortunately, we don't really know much about like his feats, what he can do, other than the only thing I know is there's a play, and if you act out this play, you go nuts.
According to August Derleth, he became Cthulhu's brother. That's how he wrote it. So that's what I know.
There's also Cthulhu's sister. I hate when they start doing.
Yeah, it's August Derleth for you, man.
Yeah, you got Spider-Man. The next thing you know, you got Spider-Gwen and Spider-Punk. Knock it off. But I mean, Hoster. I kind of like that we don't know anything about him, so we fill in the gaps. But I got to go with the stated feats, and Slaanesh has more feats. So
I will say though, Slaanesh, I think this will come down to heavily opinion depending on who you talk to. I think Slaanesh, out of all the Chaos gods, is at this point the weakest of them.
Yeah, I agree.
The she/he, because it's kind of both at any given time, was the most powerful in its day when it was first born, because it ate billions of souls when it was born. But it relies on a very specific species soul, and that species is pushed to essentially extinction. It still draws on humanity, but humanity didn't provide as powerful a soul as the Eldar did. It's like going from having, a filet mignon to having a McDonald's cheeseburger. Technically you're getting the fuel, but it's not the same. I would say, I wouldn't see him, it beating any of the higher gods, like at any point.
Yeah. So I think these are pretty cool matchups. Again, I don't see anybody beating Yog Sothoth or Azathoth. Just not on that level.
Agreed.
But Khorne definitely beats Cthulhu. Slaanesh, Nurgle, whatever. These, I'm sure somebody more steeped in the lore could come up with a better argument. But again, the Warhammer gods have more documented feats, but that's on purpose with Lovecraft. He doesn't want you to know that.
Yeah.
That's his whole thing, is that we're scared of what we don't know.
I mean, to be fair, like the whole point of Warhammer is it's supposed to be a war game, like a D&D-esque game, whereas Lovecraft was building an actual mythology.
Correct, and it's stories. It's stories. Whereas Warhammer, like you said, it is a game with math, numbers, rulers, miniatures and everything too. So yeah, I mean, yeah, but that's we know that going in that these are different, But anyway, at this point, I think we talked about this to death. What do we do? I wanted to do just a wizard battle. That was going to be my runner-up if we didn't get enough people about Warhammer. And thank you.
That would be easier. Wizard battle's good.
Dave knew enough about Warhammer that they carried this.
How about a hard-boiled private eye battle?
That's a good one too. But keep that one loaded up.
There's a bunch of different ones, so we could go through a list of which ones we think people.
That is a really good one. Keep that one loaded up in the chamber. Yeah. But how about next week we do a wizard battle, like all the classic wizards? We got Merlin, Gandalf, Dumbledore, and I would put Harry Dresden in there too.
Versus John Constantine.
And we'll throw Constantine in too, just for the hell.
Well, if you throw John Constantine, you put in Doctor Strange.
I don't want to put in Doctor Strange or Doctor Fate because they're like superheroes.
More like, they wear the costume. They're not just
no Zatanna or anything like that.
The ancient one, Doctor Strange is meant.
Well, that's still part of Doctor Strange, but
right. No, I know. I just want
like with the exception of Constantine, just because I kind of want to talk a little bit about him and how he does magic different.
Yeah, sure.
More like so. Ironically, the one I know the least is Merlin. But I could talk at length about any of these other wizards. So that's what we'll do next week. Just a full-on wizard battle.
Wizards. All right. That sounds good.
And maybe in 2 weeks we'll do a. But then again, guys, I don't think we could do it unless we. Because I'm going to.
Can we throw Darth Sidious in there?
Oh, you could do well if.
I'm going to be working nights, so till 9 o'clock. So I probably won't be able to do this till starting at 11. So
well, I'll do it late, because I don't get up. Tomorrow Saturday's not a work day.
Because it's clobbering time. I would like to keep doing it. So
sure.
I'm going to say tentatively next week for the foreseeable future, it will be 11.
Wow, that's a tough shit.
Sunday comics will stay the same, and then I got to contact all the people that I scheduled talks with. Either they could do it earlier in the day or later at night.
That's I would, if you could still talk to them, we'll watch them on replays. I'm sorry that you won't be as
right.
Like, if I'm I should not.
Well,
but I could drop a couple links at the rest area.
Yeah. So I got to do that.
I'll
go back to doing pre-recorded 10-minute comic book videos. Maybe I'll do late night board game videos. Maybe I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I know me.
Interesting.
I'm going to come home from work and stay up all night and then sleep all day. I know me.
Well, you shoot me a text if you're up late. I'm usually up late. So.
Oh, you are up? I thought you were an early construction guy too.
Well, during the week, but like when it comes to like Thursday on, I'm usually up late.
Yeah, I'm naturally a night owl. When I was out of work injured or if I'm on furlough, I'm good for about 3 days, going to bed early, and then I'm up till 4 o'clock in the morning, sleep until 11.
I have to say, I used to be able to stay up. And now I don't sleep more than 5 hours at a time. I'm up at 5. I try to sleep till 6. And it doesn't matter if I go to bed at 1. I'm up at 5. Try to sleep till 6. I mean,
that's what I.
When I was a kid, I could stay up all night, but I can't do it anymore. I don't sleep enough as it is.
That's what happens when you have like a regular job. I wake up at 5 o'clock. So even when I'm out of work for a couple of days, for like. I'll wake up around 5.
They say it's better to sleep the same hours no matter what. Like all 7 days, whether you're on or off, you should always sleep the same.
Yeah.
It's better for you, but who really does that?
So I just want to take this to push. I'm trying to get 98 more backers because that'll bring me to 301. One more backer than my original campaign. So Heroic Tales 2 is for 3 more days. It's on Kickstarter. For Infinity, it's going to be on Fund My Comic. You can get all my back issues. I told you I had misprints on the cards. Every word was misspelled because of a formatting error.
Jesus Christ.
They're sending out new cards. So I got 7 cards, 250 of 7 cards, all misprinted. So I think what I'm gonna do is get like QR code stickers and just put them on the back, and then like put them in.
I thought you would take up bike riding and put them in your spokes.
There you go. I'll do that. I'll learn to kill people like Bullseye with them.
I don't know.
There you go.
Their comic
That's a
book industry super well, but you could get rid of most of them, just have a handful, and then give them to like certain ones that are your backers. Just have like special misprints.
But part of me, part of me thinks it's a bad business move because then there's going to be no reason to like buy full sets in the future.
Well, I like that. You know what? You put the QR code on the back, and when you do your cons, you just give them out.
I was thinking about that.
That's a great idea.
I mean, it's a little bit long from now,
but it's also a lot of work.
Issues you're going to do a con.
It's another like 14 steps when I'm fulfilling because I'm going to be filling. Now I got to take stickers and put them on every card.
Well, you don't have to rush for it.
I see. Yeah, I'll put the stickers when I'm in the convention, but like if I'm giving the misprinted ones, I'll just throw them in the pack. Yeah, I don't.
I mean, I'm just trying to help.
I see what you mean. Like I'll give people the proper cards that they're owed because of their stretch goals. They'll get 3 proper cards, and then I'll just give them a full set of 7 misprinted cards. And I'll put it in updates. You're getting misprinted cards because why? You know what I mean? So if anybody's confused, it's why. But then again, most people don't care about the backs of the cards because they're character sheets for a role-playing game nobody besides me plays. So they probably won't even notice that they're misprints. But there you go.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So we'll go around. We'll start with Dave and we'll work our way. If anybody wants to promote anything or say anything before we go. So Dave,
you could check me out at DM Evanson pretty much on all the socials. I am with Dark Alchemy on YouTube. We do podcasts. We have an episode coming out Sunday morning. You could check it out after the Sunday morning comics conversation. And we interview a lot of people about D&D and whether it's artists, creators, and such. So we got some good stuff coming up down the pipeline. So check us out.
Yep. And do you and Roy and Scott, do you guys still do Warhammer tournaments over at Brothers Grimm?
Yeah, they still run the tournaments monthly or bi-monthly. I forget how much. And those pretty much sell out. They have a waiting list pretty much for those. So yeah.
So if anybody's in the Long Island area, you could reach out to me or you can reach out to Dark Alchemy Labs and witness. These guys go nuts. Scott 3D prints every freaking thing.
Yeah.
It is insane. They paint them. You want to see top-notch Warhammer role-playing tactical miniatures games, you go down to this Brothers Grimm is a game store like literally around the block from my house. When they're having these tournaments, I don't even play, but it's real fun to just walk around and watch it. And it's a cool time. Everybody's pretty cool. Everybody's real friendly.
Nice. Painted terrain and painted minis. It all looks really cool.
Yeah. And Dave, I got to set up a Twilight Imperium night again.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. I told you I got all the rare exclusives from Simon.
Oh, did you? Nice.
Yeah. So
I picked up Lords of Baseball, the board game.
Oh, really?
Oh, I like that.
It's like early 1900s. You're a manager of a baseball team, and you basically got to like pick up star players, upgrade your stadium, and then play each other. And then you have a couple of seasons. It looks really cool.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And Dave, I got to give credit where credit's due. Dave, Roy, and Scott last year went to Gen Con, and they bought me Age of Comics, the board game that I played on my channel a few times. I love that game.
It was a good one.
I'm so enamored by that game. We got to play it again because I got the War Comics expansion.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we got to play that again. It simulates the 40s making comic books. So how can I not? I love board games. I love comic books. That game is just perfect. It just tickles my fancy. And I got to thank you again. You guys, thanks a lot.
Absolutely.
Zart, you got anything you want to promote? Anything you want to say before we go?
Oh, no, not at the moment. Just happy to join in for a Warhammer Lovecraft talk. The whole talk kind of got me, speaking of board games, I want to play the Arkham board game again. It just takes forever to set up.
Which one? Second edition is my favorite board game of all time.
Yeah, I think it's second edition. It's where, you have to set up tiles for everything, and there's a Doom tracker.
Yeah.
On the top.
Yeah.
That I love that game. That is so much fun. I will probably do that on a on a stream. If I'm working any significant time, you will see Arkham Horror Second Edition being played. Eric Guapo, you got anything you want to promote? Anything you want to say?
Nothing to promote really. Just thank you for hosting these things. Like these streams are real fun.
Yeah,
Like, that's what all these hobbies are about, like comics, wargaming, all this. And I'm glad we got a cool little place to kind of converge on and nerd out for a moment.
Yeah, I do love the theory crafting of like two worlds bashing together fighting. It's something Brothers Grimm, speaking of that, we used to do that in the parking lot. The store would close and we'd be in there parking lot talking for another 2, 3, 4 hours after the store is closed about what if this, what if that. So it's nice to do it again.
I 14 years old, we were in the comic book store. Spider-Man can beat Batman. What are you, crazy? What are you, crazy? Yep. Batman can't beat Spider-Man. You know, and that's what this. We're not 14 years old anymore. We live in geographically different parts of the world, so we do this. Yeah. And you know, we sometimes we may get a little annoyed at each other, but it's all in good fun.
I don't think we've ever got annoyed with each other. That's really the coolest thing.
Part of the fun.
Yeah, it's part of the fun. Tony, anything you want to promote? Anything you want to say before we go?
No, just buy Heroic Tales. That's it.
Yes.
And what's the dog's name? What's that big beautiful?
Lucy. Yeah.
Lucy. Oh, nice.
Walking around over there, half pit bull, half boxer.
Nice dog, beautiful dog. And Marcus, anything you want to promote? Anything you want to say?
Yeah, so I have a son who's really into board games. I'll get a list for him. If he did a top 20 once on Twitch. I can't access that. You guys would like that. A lot of the same games you guys play. I like that baseball game. It reminds me of Stratomatic, my favorite game when I was a kid.
Oh, nice.
And I am on the studio tomorrow, drawing with Don Draws and Omer Glitch and Duck Bacon and James Lee. And we're going to have the creator of the Canadian Shield is going to be on. Although the poor Canadian Shield guy will be probably overlong because my friends will probably draw Pitt. I will probably draw the Canadian Shield as I'm thinking about it now because I'm there to help those guys. But you know how things are going. And buy Heroic Tales so we can make future public eye stories.
Right. Marcus is going to be the artist on the name of the series will be called I Love a Mystery, featuring
I Love a Mystery, that's right.
and the public eye. And I just told Marcus I got another story already to go.
Yeah, yeah. So I got to get faster.
You got to get faster. Like we got to sell more comics.
you have a million stories, and I don't know when they're gonna it's gonna be like 3 years from now. We have like enough stories for you have enough stories for like 4 years between me, even for everybody, for all of your artists. Yeah. It's insane, and I'm like thinking about when is this gonna happen? Is it gonna really happen? You know, like that. I really like doing it, and I appreciate it. Thank you, John.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot of fun. Fabrizio Aiello who does Horace H. Hoover. He just finished Horace H. Hoover #4.
Yeah, good.
He's going to start working on the Memoirs of Violet McCready. How is that for a superhero comic? Nice. And he had part 1, and I just told him the grand ending. If we could keep going, how it's going to end. And I love the ending. We got to get to that ending. It's so good.
Right. Well,
it's an old woman in a hospice care writing her memoirs about her life.
We'll get you on Webtoons with all the manga.
Yeah. So there we go. And Marcus, tell your son to come on, and we'll do a top.
He's in Singapore.
Oh, okay.
He's studying to be a vet. So instead of doing internists, they call it externists. So he's working at the Singapore Zoo. It's hot as heck in Singapore. You think it's hot here? Forget about it. It's really hot.
Yeah. Yes. If Fabrizio and I get together, it's postentious. How pretentious is that title? The Memoirs of Violet McCready. So yeah,
it's a great title.
Yeah. So anyway, Heroic Tales, guys. I don't want to beg, but I got so many ideas. I got so many scripts out.
I know.
Just today, yesterday, I went and got soup dumplings, and I was just daydreaming, and a name just popped into my head, and I was like, "That's a good character." Bob came up with a backstory.
It happens that way, you know.
And then I asked Brian Bow, and he fell in love with the idea. So, I started writing the script.
He told me it's a good idea, guys.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It's very different than anything else. But then again, I try to do different stuff. But anyway, if I keep talking, I'm going to spoil everybody. See you for Sunday Comics. I might do a stream.
I should be here for Sunday Comics. Last week I had something to do. Sorry
and
about that.
I think we're doing X-Men 102, 103. I forget the exact number.
I love those
See you guys.
comics. All right,
See ya.
good night.
Be good.
All right. So you